your favorite spot to eat on Capitol Hill also?
Yeah, it's got to be the Roost. I mean, you can kind of
The
get
Roost?
whatever kind of food you want there. And I think I've clocked it at maybe 800 steps from my front door. So it's impossible to
There we go. Yeah, you know how long it's going to be to get there and get back,
yeah,
and then you got
it's
all your
under
food.
4-minute walk. So those are the
Amazing.
sorts of things that make me not be able to go anywhere else.
I'm out in suburbia/rural Maryland, so nothing is walking distance. But I'm not here to complain. I'm here for another edition of Trailblazers and Transformers. So here we go. Ready? Hello, I'm Liz Penniman. Welcome to another edition of Trailblazers and Transformers, where we are telling the stories of our alumni community and those who might be the unsung heroes of truly great work behind the scenes at the department. I'm joined by my co-host, Aaron Morales, former engagement director for the Undersecretary for Infrastructure at DOE. Aaron, what's up?
Everything's up. Right now, we're looking up, having a great day, and it's even better now because we're joined by the incredible Keith Boyea, our Trailblazer and Transformer for this episode. Keith has years of experience supporting public service, working with the U.S. Air Force, National Science Foundation, and most recently at the U.S. Department of Energy, where he served as the Director of Contracts and Awards for the Office of Clean Energy Demonstrations. And just saying that sentence, I realized why we had so many acronyms at the department where you just get out. So OSED alum, who has been a wonderful volunteer with the DOE Alumni Network, will dig more into his experience at the department, as well as what happened before he took the oath. Keith, welcome. Congratulations. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And so before we dive into your work at the department and your years of public experience, tell us about Keith before you took the oath. Where are you from? Childhood dog, street you grew up on, mother's maiden name, and the last four of your social.
4 digits, please.
Sure. I grew up in a little town in South Texas called George West, Texas. It's about an hour north of Corpus Christi. It's got
Nice.
2,500 people in it. So a very rural area, a very disadvantaged area, very small areas. You know, things like ordering Chinese food on the weekends, that's not something I had experienced until I went to college. So
Yes.
very, very small place. I have one brother, Luke. He lives in Dallas, and my parents now live in St. Louis, Missouri.
Nice. I didn't know we had a fellow Texas. I'm from Lubbock. So
Okay.
a bit further from Corpus Christi.
Almost
But
as
every
far
time-
as you can be separated in Texas. Maybe Brownsville's a little
That's
further.
very true.
Keith, now's the time to talk about after the oath and your time at DOE and your time as a civil servant. I feel like, you know, a lot of us are drawn in to civil service for, you know, a variety of reasons, our security and all of that. But what really inspired you to join public service, and how did you end up in your first role? Aaron went through your resume a little bit, and it sounds like you've done a lot in the federal space. But can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I have to do a little bit of biography on this. I took my first oath of service on June 30th, 1998. And that's the day I entered the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. And so that I wasn't even 18 years old at the time. And very concretely, the rest of my life experience has been in public service in one way or the other to the United States government. I did 4 years at the academy and then 4 years active duty in the Air Force. I caught deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. And then when I got out of the military in 2006, I kind of bummed around for 5 or 6 years as a contractor supporting various DoD organizations. Worked at the Library of Congress for short stints. I worked at Walter Reed Medical
Nice.
Center for a short stint. So I had a bunch of different contracting locations. And I became a federal civilian employee in 2011 at the Department of Transportation, actually at the Federal Railroad Administration. So I took an oath then. But that, like I said, that was not the first of my oaths. So literally my entire professional life has been in service to the United States government.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure.
Why don't you talk us through a little bit about what you did at DOE specifically?
Yeah, sure. So I was hired. I'll take it back to the job announcement. I remember the job announcement for the job I ended up getting coming out in May of 2022. And I was at the time working at the National Science Foundation, and I thought I was generally aware of all the things happening, but I had not heard of OSED before then. But I was kind of looking for a position change, something more concrete. You know, the promise of OSED was to bring things into real life. I mean, these were demonstration projects that were going to exist. We were going to do construction. and they were going to go vertical, so to speak. So it's something you could literally lay your hands on, which is quite different from the National Science Foundation, where everything's just a paper result. Like they're not doing applied and demonstration, that sort of thing. And so it was just kind of a change in focus that I thought was really, really exciting and interesting. That's one part of it. The other part of it was I really feel like climate change remains and continues to be one of the challenges of our time. It's certainly demonstrating that clean energy can work and produce power is part of mitigating climate change. So I applied for the job, ended up getting it. And so the job was Director of Contracts and Awards, as you all have noted. And what that really meant, I was the first employee in that division. And so it meant two things. One, hiring people to do the work, and two, writing up a justification for OSED to be able to issue its own contracts and awards, contracts and financial assistance. Largely, the Department of Energy at the time was organized around, there were a few places that obligated money, the Golden Field Office, Nettle, headquarters, a few others. But OSED had not landed on where they wanted, which office they were going to use. They really wanted to use their own office, which is, I think, the best way to do it. And so I got hired in August of 2022. And then by November, we had our own authority to issue contracts and awards. And, we kind of went from there. And so the first task there is to hire people after you've justified your own existence. And so that was a major task that everyone was doing. Everyone in the S3 vertical was busy hiring in those early days, right? And so I did that. And then we had to sort of decide how we wanted to do things. And one of the first pieces of work that I contributed to was the notices of funding opportunity that went out the door to show our projects off to the public and have them submit proposals to. And then, of course, after those proposals come back, you have an evaluation team work on them and suggest, recommend awards to a selection official. And then from then you start negotiating awards. And so my role in that of the actual negotiations was quite small because that was something mostly done by my staff members. But my probably biggest contribution was coming up with the template or the model cooperative agreement that we were going to use, terms and conditions, standard terms, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Not me, a team of people, right? So that they could use that and put those agreements together and get them awarded so that we could get started.
And I'll just say that there was no small task because it wasn't just OSED, a new office. It was a multi-billion-dollar program office that had like the $8 billion hydrogen hubs program, $2 billion for DAC. These were very large projects. And when you guys were going out to market with these funding opportunities, it was kind of like a really unique moment for the department to where they were kind of appealing to different private sector entities who might not have been involved with the department before or the federal government just in general.
I had a couple of tailwinds on that regard. One, David Crane, who ended up being the Undersecretary for Infrastructure, started at OSED. And so we knew he was moving up. And so we were all our best selves in front of David because we knew he was going to be the big boss someday. But that doesn't mean we didn't listen to him. We took a lot of input from him. He had a great commercial background. And so we tried to craft terms and conditions that were going to be amenable to the partners we were going to work with, which was, like, as you noted, for-profit, mostly commercial organizations, whereas DOE's previous main line of work was with R&D universities, sort of earlier stage type of investment. So that was a whole lot of fun. Now, I would probably do it better now that I know all of the issues that came up during negotiation, because it wasn't, even though we did our best to craft commercial-friendly terms, we probably didn't get there. And we were getting there, but we didn't quite get there on the first try.
Was that a cat? Is that the house cat that we have joining us?
She seems to want to be on camera. I don't understand it.
Nice. She nominated you actually for the project. So
we're going to tell people who the nominators were, but
tell us also, we like to have this question. I say we like to ask this question. This is our second conversation that we've had. But we'll start with your good. What's a good memory you have?
Yeah, so Congress gave the department and OSED $1 billion for projects in rural and remote areas. And they defined rural and remote as jurisdictions with fewer than 10,000 people. That was a completely unique definition. It's not used anywhere else in government. But it doesn't necessarily fit into OSED's portfolio because we were doing big demonstration projects for, you mentioned hydrogen hubs. And so how do you get $1 billion into any community of fewer than 10,000 people? And how do you split that up? So there were major policy questions in how we were going to announce this, how we were going to solicit it, and then how we were going to award and oversee these projects.
Right.
And so we ended up doing two things. And the second one is what I'm most proud of. We ended up using what are called fixed amount awards with milestone-based payments. There's a lot of headwinds in DOE policy that prevent prevent us from using that strategy. But when you use that strategy, particularly the milestone-based payments, it makes both the compliance load for the recipient and the government much smaller, much lower. And when you're talking about a community with fewer than 10,000 people, these are not organizations and communities that have the consultants and the compliance experts that Harvard or Stanford or any of these universities that have huge staffs to do this work. They don't have that. And so you had to design something that they could understand, execute, maintain, and still be compliant with 2 CFR 200, the financial assistance rules. And so we put out, I think, $50 million on a notice of funding opportunity for this program. Each project could not be more than $5 million. We ended up obligating like $75 million. We got so many good projects in. And because they were relatively small and the milestone, they're all commercial based. So you're talking solar plus batteries, you're talking HVAC updates at the local high school, like these really kind of small but beautiful in context improvements to this community.
Right.
They went off running almost immediately. We didn't really need a lot of help from DOE to get started. The other thing that did is when we transitioned into the Trump administration, none of them got cut because they saw the value in all of those investments and they were just not even discussed as something on the cut list. And I say that like a lot of that was sort of my work in trying to shape that NOFO looked like. So that's kind of like my proudest moment. It would not have happened
amazing
without the tremendous staff that like super embraced it. The other thing that I thought was exciting about it is we used a pre-application process, and the pre-application was like 10 questions to assess the readiness of the applicant. And we didn't get anyone external to OSED to review those. The staff volunteered to review those pre-applications and score them such that we could do it very quickly and with, the resources that we already had. We didn't have to go find any others. That really brought us together in some way, I like to think. And so that was like my proudest moment. Those projects are still going. There was
amazing. Yeah.
A hydro dam in Alaska. I mean, just all these beautiful little stories across the country. And so that was a very proud moment of mine.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say about that is that when I was growing up in George West, Texas, I didn't know, I knew the federal government existed, but I just didn't, it wasn't connected to my community, right? And one way we can do that is fund these small projects in these jurisdictions that aren't connected to the federal enterprise.
We have some questions that we want to get to know a little bit more about you, Keith. And I think that the most important question that we will be asking you is chips and queso or chips and guac?
Boy, that's
As a
tough
Texas
one.
boy, that's...
I know, he's got to have a good answer. And South Texas, too.
My mind is poisoned by memes like everyone, but like, why not both?
Fair.
Probably chips and guac would probably be my pick. But if you see me and I've got a few extra pounds, I've never kicked either one of those out of bed. I'll tell you that right now.
There we go. I like your way of thinking.
Okay, we are continuing on this trajectory. If you had a walk-up song, what would it be?
Aaron, you're from Texas, so you might appreciate this. I'd probably walk up to The Road Goes On Forever and the Party Never Ends by Robert O'Keefe.
There we go. I say there we go. I haven't heard it, but I'm going to have to look it up.
I don't know what it is.
I just lost my Texas card. Could you sing part of it for us? No. But
I'll send you a link to the 7-minute version.
We're going to round it out. Last question. On the Texas on top of mind. Who is your hometown hero, Keith?
Boy, okay. I would say like one overly earnest answer and then one like sports hero answer. So the overly earnest answer is the high school coach I had that coached me playing football in high school.
Nice.
Guy by the name of Tim Holt. He was really influential in my life, probably right behind my dad, and just sort of like instilling some virtues in me, like hard work, dedication, resiliency, overcoming setbacks. Unfortunately, he died a few years ago, but just a wonderful example for me. He didn't grow up in George West, but he was the coach there for many years, so good enough.
I love that.
The sort of like athlete answer is Dirk Nowitzki. Like I'm a big Dallas Mavericks fan. You can see I'm wearing a shirt here.
Yes.
And so Dirk, he's only a couple years older than me, so I watched his entire career as an adult, and I love that man. I've never met him, but what a servant to the city of Dallas and the Dallas Mavericks.
We're going to send him this link. We're going to get you guys connected, and the next time we do this, we're going to put you guys on the court to ball it out. But for the next generation that's thinking about maybe public service might be a route that they want to consider, sometimes there's a little light bulb moment that goes off and somebody thinks, like, maybe I should pursue this. I think our executive director did a fellowship. She was a marine biologist, I believe, by training. And now she's one of the leading experts, if not the leading expert on offshore wind in the nation. What's your advice to the future generation of potential DOEers on whether or not they should explore public service?
Well, my advice is absolutely explore it. I think a couple of things. One, it's certainly a ticket to the middle class. It is a job with good benefits, good pay, reasonable hours mostly, and you get to work on issues that benefit your country. And that is immensely satisfying. And it's something that is not available in any other context. And I think it's like, I don't know that like very early in my career, I had a sense of the honor it is to serve like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do now, I especially since it kind of ended ignominiously about a year ago in a way that I didn't expect. I miss it tremendously. I miss that sense of mission when I wake up in the morning. I miss that sense of maybe too few instances of like going home and knowing I made the world a little bit better that day, but that's all there for you. And the other thing about the federal government, it's not just the Department of Energy whose scope is tremendously wide.
Mm-hmm.
It's the entire government. Like you could spend the rest of your life, meet someone new from the government every single day, and you'll be blown away by what they're an expert in, whether it be like an ant or like marine biology, offshore wind. When I worked at the Federal Railroad Administration, these are adult train geeks. They love trains. And you would not imagine the issues related to train safety that come up. And they're the worldwide experts in that sort of thing. So anything, like any topic you can think of, you can work on it, almost any topic, work on it professionally in the federal government and get paid to do it and make people's lives better. I think it's an amazing career.
That's awesome.
Yeah, agree wholeheartedly with everything you said. That's a great response. Okay, last question. We're gonna give a little plug to you and to the network. You, Keith, are considered a super volunteer for the network. You could describe the DOE Alumni Network in one word. What would it be?
Passion.
There we go.
There it is.
There's just like no one's getting paid except, maybe one or two people. Like everyone's just giving their time because they believe in what the DOE can be. And so that group, that's fueled by passion.
Advice to those who aren't involved with the network and they want to get involved, what advice do you have for them?
Well, dive in. I mean, reach out to me or Tarek or any of you all. There's multiple and many different ways to be involved. It could if it's only just showing up at a happy hour and saying hi to your former colleagues, then that's also good. If you want to dig into meatier and weightier issues, that's great as well. I mean, I know it might just be publishing your ideas or starting a Substack or whatever, but like the Alumni Network can help you do that such that those ideas can get out into the wild and maybe produce something more positive in the future.
That's great.
We need a little positivity these days.
Any final thoughts you want to throw out there?
I think DOE can do a lot more. I mean, I like to think I know, Aaron, there might be a conversation about whether or not we're going to do demonstrations, but like, I want to go beyond that. I want to deploy. I think we should just be straight up building
deploy.
Yeah. So no, it's like that to me is very motivating. And that's, again, you can get involved in the Alumni Network and do all the work on all sorts of those things.